idea.
So you are?
I'm Thomas Van Stein.
And tell me about this work here, about what design issues are going on.
Design issues, well, no more than 3 areas of interest to simplify the design. The focal point.
And they are?
The focal point would of course be the area of most contrast, which is the fireworks. Second area of interest would be the figures against the background of the light. And then over here to the right, a little flashing geography here on the corner, and then of course back. So the eye moves around in succession from the first most important thing to the second most important thing to the third most important thing, and then back.
Any other design principles? Color, shadow, other things?
This is more what you call more of a 3-4 composition. In a grid, you've got 3 elements here, okay, 3 going this way, and then the focal point, of course, is there, and then you've got a line in the middle here and another line here. So you've got 4 that way and 3 this way. So it's a 3-4 ratio.
Well, what's the intended tone, or what do you want people to feel?
Overall tone, okay, well, tone is more, you mean as far as a mood?
Yeah.
It's a nocturne, and so I'm after the chiaroscuro, it's called. It's the light-dark contrast, made famous by Vermeer and Rembrandt. And so what I want them to feel is the glow of the night and the whole feeling behind nocturnes, which you can't really, unless this is dark enough during the daytime, you'd never see this kind of contrast. So there's something about fireworks that are exciting. And this, of course, is Butterfly Beach, and this is done actually not this year, but last year's fireworks from Butterfly Beach, looking at the grand finale off of Stearns Wharf.
How do you work?
Quickly. I work just like I do in a daytime landscape. I get my palette all working. I get all the masses together and all the highlights, mid values and darkest values together on the palette first. And then I start, with this one especially, I started laying it in before the fireworks started. Darkest values, 3 mid values, and then I hold off on the highlights till the very end when the fireworks are going off. Okay, so I work darkest value, next lightest, next lightest, next lightest, next lightest, and then at the end is when the fireworks are going off. That's when I start adjusting the lights and the darks and adding more of the highlights. So.
Who are you painting for? For yourself? For
Yeah.
the consumer?
No, for myself. Always for myself. I paint and hope to sell, not paint to sell. If it sells, that's icing on the cake. But it's more about me capturing the moment and the light. And
are there some commercial considerations, like a firework may sell better than a plant?
No, not in this case. I've been painting nocturnes for a long time, and I've always been excited about the, like I said, the glow and the feeling of the night. And so that's what I try to get, is the feeling. There's a lot of night pictures that, I mean, like this one of Arturo's right here, you can tell when they're done on location. They've got a certain feel of reality. In fact, Arturo's the one who introduced me to the whole concept of night painting back in 1989 when we were out on Santa Cruz Island painting with the Oak Group for a show out there. So anyway, that's the difference between a plein air nocturne where you feel what it is and someone who's doing it from a photograph. Artists who paint from photographs sometimes don't have that level of reality or realism or the sensualness of what it's like to be in the elements at night. And so that's what I'm after, is more the feeling of it, as opposed to just a pretty picture of the night.
Tell me about the technique. Is it tiny brushes, big brushes?
No, mostly big brushes to little brushes. Okay, the littlest brush was in the highlights here, but most of the time it was all just using filberts, anywhere from 8s and 6s and 4s for this size to get it done.
Anything else you'd like to say about or your work?
My work, I hope it's timeless.
That's what you'd like to
Yeah, timeless is that it could be It could be now, and it could be 100 years from now, or 100 years ago, right? And I was thinking about that today. It's like, if you strive to create a timeless piece of artwork, then chances are it will transcend time. It will go on. So life is short, but art is long. So.
Do you ever come back to your past paintings and rework them?
Yeah, sure. Sometimes, especially if they don't sell. Like if I'm, something didn't sell, and I'm looking at it, and I go, well, maybe what's going on? And then I'll see something, or as I evolve as an artist, I might see something that I didn't know before, because I've had a whole series of experiences from when I painted it originally till that moment. And I'll have the tools and the insights and the awarenesses, and I can just utilize my tools and simplify something or enhance something a little bit more and bring out a little more contrast, and boom, that'll be all it would take. So even though you sign the painting and you think it's done, sometimes you got to let it, age like a good bottle of wine, right? So you just never know when it's time, but you'll know.
How do you work when you're inspired or on a certain schedule?
No, when I'm inspired, you got to be inspired. You got to feel.
But do you sometimes show up at a place that you may not be inspired yet?
Yeah, sometimes. But then that's a challenge to, as an artist, to try to do something or see something that's different every single time. Like I go to Butterfly Beach and I teach classes there, and I've painted maybe, 800 paintings in my life just at that beach alone. But I never get tired of it because I'm always thinking about approaching it from a new point of view and trying something I've never done before. And Arturo's good at that too. I mean, he goes down on the bluffs, right? And he's constantly seeing new compositions and new light and coming up with new ideas. So it's always fresh in a sense. So that's the challenge. Most artists, like, if they're not inspired, it means they're not looking at things outside the box. You gotta try something to break it loose. And plein air painting's good for that, because it's never the same twice. Ever. And then, in fact, we're never the same twice.
Good point.
Yes.
Hey, would you care to give contact info, like a website or email?
Yeah, I've got a website. It's www.thomasvanstein.net. And I also show at the Waterhouse Gallery, which is in Santa Barbara. And so please look me up.
Thank you, Tom.
All right.